Hey guys, and welcome to Let's Draw Jolyne Cujoh. I don't know why I'm making that voice, but whatever. If you know who this character is, cool. If you don't know who this character is, she is the daughter of Part 3 hero of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Jolyne Cujoh, I think. If I'm correct, she's Jolyne Cujoh's daughter. If I'm not correct, then whatever. I haven't read part 5 in years, almost, so whatever. But yes, she is part 5. She is the hero of part 5 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and she is the daughter of the hero in part 3. After this part of the manga of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, we end up beating Giorno Giovanni, who's the son of the villain of the original series, which is very weird. He's also the most powerful character ever invented, which is just weird, lame, but whatever. Today is all about Jolyne, and this is actually for a postcard that I'm doing for like some friends and people of mine that I just want to make something nice for. I didn't have the time during the holidays as what the holidays were, and so I'm just doing this as just a regular old just postcard. But enough about that. Let's talk about the art, So, as you can see, I have my sketch layer. I have that about 36 opacity, if I'm seeing that correctly. And, oh, yeah, it's actually really blurry. And if it's blurry, like all the lettering and stuff is blurry, it's because I messed up a setting on OBS, and I didn't realize it until I finished recording this, and then it was too late. It was all too late. I recorded this all in one go, just drawing. So there's that. At least the picture turned out to look fine. I mean, it doesn't look too blurry or messy or anything. So that's good. At least the video turned out alright. Yeah, so, sketch layer at 35%. The layers above that are in a folder. As I do, you gotta put your line art in a folder, gotta make sure it's organized. You can't, I've had many problems of not being able to find the line art where it's not in a folder or whatever, or I didn't put it in a folder and I'm just drawing just in loose layers, and that tends to be very messy, and I tend to forget where things are, and things tend to just disappear on me in the layers. And what you saw there is I turned up the opacity to 56 on the sketch layer so I could see it a little bit more and see what the heck those lines were. I'm later gonna figure out, yeah, that just screw it, I'm just going to do other stuff. The actual pen I'm using right now is it's a custom pen I made. It's for excuse me, hiccups. It's for drawing manga, but really it's for drawing whatever. It's just a line art pen that has very good line and width depth. Sorry, I can't talk very good. It's early in the morning and my mouth is very dry. I'm gonna struggle with these hands a little bit. It's okay. It's okay, people. It's okay to struggle with hands. No, seriously, it's okay to struggle with hands. I do as well. Plus, I drew that hand in a very odd position. I shouldn't have done that. But as you can see, I'm drawing lines that I deem are troublesome on higher layers, and I will merge them down later so that I have an easier way to do line art, or so that's an easier way to do line art. Do lines on one layer until you get to a certain point that is a little bit more tricky, and then go on to another layer above that, do the line art, and then merge it on down, or copy paste it wherever on down and do that. And you'll see me do these solid black areas on this, and that's just really to mimic like how mangas do their shadows. And you'll see this cross hatching on here, like right above her like breast area, and on her hand, and on her pants somewhere. If I remember, I did that because that's the way that you mimic. That's just the way you mimic shadows in manga and in like classic American comics, where they only used like 4 colors, or a manga where they don't use any colors and it's all black and white. So right here, I'm gonna just use like a circle tool, and I'm going to use some more layers and move it. Oh, no, come on. 1, 2, 3, there you go. Move it into place. Then I'm going to copy those 2 layers, move it down, and then erase what I don't need. Oh, erase the wrong side. There you go. Happy little mistakes. Happy little mistakes, everyone. And that one I just drew in myself, whatever. But I messed up the belt a little bit, didn't add the actual belt like hooks, so I'm gonna go in and add those. It's all about the details, people. You gotta, if you don't have details, then your picture's just gonna be a big blob of color, and you don't want to be a minimalist Dadaist, do you? Well, maybe you do, and if you do, and that's cool, whatever. But yeah, as you can see, I'm drawing the line art on like, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers. 8 layers of line art that I'm going to merge down into one layer, except for the eyes. Hopefully not the eyes, because there's a reason for that. You see more cross-hatching. It's just little quick lines that go down in a pattern. Any more here, any more there. Some to her muscles, her muscles. Adding more to her muscles. Sorry, I've been watching way too much Fine Sauce. Those hard time videos from Joel are really good. So I don't really understand Jolyne's ponytail in the back, and I never will. And it looks like that, and I've just drawn. I just drew it like that, and I'll just draw it like that until the end of the time. Also, another quick tip, for stuff like using like your erasers and stuff in drawing, don't be afraid to draw something a little bit too big or whatever, and then erase it away to make it fit better, or to draw the entire what's it called? Draw the entire like line or shape, and then erase part of it to give it a sharper edge or whatever. You know, don't be afraid to do that. So now we're doing the eyes, and I just was, when I was doing these eyes, I just stared at a picture of Jolyne Cujoh just to see like how her eyes worked, and they work like JoJo character eyes, which is hard to describe. Essentially, they work very, they look very just super stylized, lots of lines coming off of them. And I tried to do something there with the pupils, but I decided, screw it. It looks better without it. and I messed up on the hair a little bit, so I'm going back and fixing it, because that's how her hair is supposed to be. Adding an area of black next to her face, because I didn't want to be busy coloring a tiny bit of area in between the eyes of the face. Oh, here I'm selecting all of the outside area, if I can do it. Selecting all the outside area with like the, I don't know, the auto selection tool, I guess you can call it, and inverting the, I'm inverting the selection, and then just hitting a fill all tool and filling the entire canvas in a base gray, so that I can select just that layer by control left clicking the thumbnail on the right side, and so I don't get any more color on the outside of the lines, so I can keep it all on the inside. Just like my bottle of anger. Oh. I'm joking. Don't bottle up your anger, kids. What I did there is, since I went a little bit over the line with the selection tool, or the selection and fill tool, I just selected just the, I did the same thing. I selected just the what's it called? The skin tone, and then I just used an option to erase all of inside the skin tone on that other layer. Someone's dropping stuff outside the room. It's very weird. I don't know if any other what's it called? I don't know if any other programs like Manga Studio have like a tool like this paint leftover parts tool, or if they have any like enclose and fill tools, is what I was using before. I think you can do something similar in Photoshop, which is just a selection tool that then you can erase from and then fill in full. I'm not quite sure. Whatever. So yeah, here I'm just doing the boring part, which is always flat colors. Using an enclose and fill tool to get like tiny bits of detail that I would have normally missed. Using this fill in mono tool, which is just a unrasterized brush. That's just full on. It's just unrasterized, no aliasing at all, and it works pretty well for just filling in large areas of stuff. Now I'm doing her hair. Her hair is very weird, and when I was looking at the image, I was flipping back and forth. You'll see me stop here and there. It's because I was flipping back. No, wait, actually, I had it up on the screen, but see, the difference is on the screen. For some reason, I have this reference image thing or screen in Manga Studio, and it just doesn't show up in the recording. It's very weird. But yeah, I had an image just pulled up in front of Manga Studio so that I could see her all the time, and if you notice, may stop every now and again and scroll over to her, scroll over to like the left side with my cursor. That's me looking at her image to see like where her details are and stuff. Now, time to do the spider webs that are on her outfit. And I started doing this in one type of brush, and then I just said screw it, and I'm just going to use this dense watercolor brush, which works 10 times better. it makes it way easier. And I'm not very good at what's it called? Spider webs. I haven't drawn Spider-Man in years. So that was a little bit difficult. Just gotta erase something. Yeah, so you can, don't be afraid to erase. Striped pants. Look at Jolyne and her hammer pants. They're so weird. But, yeah, what am I trying to say here? Oh yeah, I'm gonna go back and fix the hair because her hair is not actually that color. I just goofed. The flat lines are almost done, and I'm using a really, I would say I'm using a very psychedelic type of color palette for this. Nothing matches, nothing makes sense, but it all works. And if you're wondering how did I get the lines to be colored so easily, I just merged all the lines that I wanted to be colored in the folder that's for line art. I just merged all the layers together. I just merged them all down together, and then I turned those just those lines, not the eye lines or anything, into what's it called? Into soft light lines, or I don't know what it'd be in Photoshop. Maybe like just turn the opacity down or something like that. If I use say just solid black line, turn down the opacity, or not turn down the opacity, just turn them to turn on the soft light section on the lines, and then they just get this color, and it's really easy. Anyone can do it. And right now I'm going in with a I don't even know what this color is. It's like a desaturated blue, I want to say. Like super desaturated. It's almost white. Just going in there on multiply, and I turned off the color. I just hid the color layer because it's easier to get volumes and shadow knowledge on your image if you don't have the color up. And I think here I don't know why I stopped there. I think I was just like looking at other stuff and trying to figure out what I was gonna do next. I'm just doing large chunks of what's it called? Just doing large chunks of shadow, because if you're not doing a photo shoot style image where there's very flat shadows, then you're gonna want to give your image some depth. And that's something that people always forget about, is if you don't have enough shadow and light in your image, it's going to look very flat, and it's going to look very cartoony, unless that's what you're going for, and it's going to look very bland, if anything. And I'm doing, you can see I'm drawing all this light blue in like the middle layer of my shading folder, and that is for a specific reason. I'm going to have the middle layer be shadow and darkness, while the top layer is for like highlights and shine, and the bottom layer is gonna be for just general lighting, light sourcing that's coming from a direction. Even though the shading tells it's the same story, really. There's really not much to say. I mean, it's just coloring over the same areas I colored over with with a very low, with a zero zero anti-aliasing brush, and I'm gonna set my headphones down real quick. Zero anti-aliasing brush, and with the enclose and fill tool, just going over places. And if your monitor is dark enough, or you can see it properly on here, I don't know if you can see it on YouTube. I'm actually filling over the outside of the image. That's because I eventually got lazy with this image. Damn chair. Scoot up. There you go. I eventually got lazy with this image, and I just used the enclose and fill tool to fill in like larger areas of stuff. And so I didn't have to spend 10 hours, or not 10 hours, like 4 hours, just doing the shading of this image. And yeah, I guess that's the shading all done. Yep, it is. Gotta add the highlights in the eye. Did I add them on the wrong place? Yeah, I added them on the wrong place. I'm gonna delete these. No, I'm not. Oh, I thought I did. Never mind. And yeah, here we go. Just adding general light sourcing. That's how you do it. Just get a soft brush, go over one side of the image with like overlay or soft light with a bright color, and then you just blur the hell out of it. And then here comes the fun part, the going over your image and realizing you missed a bunch of color spots, and then a bunch of shading as well, and then doing all these highlights. And I'm doing these highlights in like a really light pink. It's really pastel. I'm trying to keep that like really psychedelic color scheme that most JoJo characters have. And Jolyne is very evident. It's like pinks, purples, blues, greens, that kind of thing for her. Fixing a bunch of shading here, adding a bunch of highlights. And once this is done, I'll actually be able to show you if anything, that a lot of these highlights are I actually fucked up on. I didn't know why I added highlights on the lip. Erasing some of the highlights with a soft brush in order to give it a softer feel. See, stuff like there. Erase that. That was a hard highlight to do because I couldn't tell exactly where the line started and ended, which is difficult. Actually, I had to go to Google for a second there. That's why that's why the program freaked out. And this is how I do hair highlights. Using Gaussian blur, erase some, and then use a hard, soft brush. I don't know what that would be. I just made it myself, and then I erase some in the middle, and there you go. Anime hair. And here what I did is I selected just the shading, and I used a gradient tool above all of that to, like a dark gradient tool above all that. And I'm going to mess with settings here for a bit to see if I can get a cool looking image. And I accidentally set the entire layer on soft light, so I'm going to have to fix that. I'm going to fix it real soon. I'm going to realize it. There you go, I fixed it. So yeah, I'm trying to figure out what looks best here, whether I can see the line art better, and I fixed that, but it's not the same color. And this is the problem with shading, is if you mess up one tiny little bit, then you can mess up one tiny little bit. And here I try to do something fancy. I try to add some like I don't even know what that's called. Anisotropic filtering or something. I don't know. Try to add some like blur to one side on add glow on an add glow layer to see if that would make it look better, more interesting. It didn't make it more interesting, but whatever. So time to do the JoJo thing and add a ton of sparkles. I messed up though. Those sparkles were too big. Now add a glow layer, and then I'm gonna blur them. Blur them a shit ton. And time to be artsy with some roses. Are those? Yeah, those are roses. And the way that this rose like brush works is it takes your primary and secondary color on the program, and then just uses one for the liner of the rose, and uses one for the fill-in color of it. Using lots of gradients and weird stuff. I actually figured out that the sunset gradient is actually super rad, and it looks like that. Although I should probably come on me, erase some of those sparkles. No, come on, do the thing. And whatever. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna end up looking good anyway. There you go. That's what it is. I just had to change the color of the... Just using like a... what's it called? The saturation tool to change the... just to change the color of it. And I don't know what happened here, but all these tiny little marks, like areas that didn't get colored showed up. And I don't know what happened there. It's just like I knew everything was filled in, but I guess tiny little areas that I just missed just popped up in there. And this is almost done. This is pretty close to being finito. I'm just trying to go over and fix some of these colored liner problems. And I just decided I'm just gonna delete the shading on the lines. Well, that worked a little bit, but it didn't work. It didn't work all the way. And I don't remember how I fixed this, or if I just gave up on it. Because it's actually like very low resolution, this image. So I have no idea. And I think I figured it out. Yeah, I figured it out, and I'm fixing stuff. It's going back over, making sure everything's fine. Yep. Okay. Oh yeah, here I'm just going over the lines on her clothing to make sure they're all like colored in fine. Same with her lips and her hair. Missed some shading down there. You always gotta do this in art. You gotta make sure that everything is filled in and full. You can't have things that are just empty. And that should be it. See you later, guys.